Welcome back for another quick Sheriff of Sodium video. So I finally had a chance to sit down and look at the results of the 2020 NRMP Program Director Survey. If you're not familiar with this, it's a document that the NRMP releases every other year. It's about 172 pages in length, and it includes all kinds of useful data. And among the figures that my eyes lit upon was this one in Figure 5. The number of programs that offer more interview invitations to applicants than they have interview spots to fill. And I was shocked to see that over a third of all residency program directors who responded to the survey indicated that yes, they offer more applicants interviews than they actually have interview spots available. If you have followed me for any length of time, you know that this is a practice about which I have been sharply critical in the past. In fact, I discussed it in some length back in March when I gave the lecture about how program directors can improve the match process in a post-Step 1 world. And so, in the interests of maintaining my own normotension and emotional stability, I'm going to refer you back to the Sheriff of Sodium video archives for a little snippet of why program directors should stop doing this. Here you go.
And that brings me to my fifth and final way that program directors can make the match process better. Don't over-invite applicants to interview. And let me be very specific and precise about the practice that I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is when program directors decide that they want to interview, say, 100 applicants, and they have 100 interview spots. And instead of inviting 100 applicants and having them fill those spots, they invite 200 applicants and have them fill the available spots as rapidly as possible. If you're doing this, stop. If you want to offer someone an interview, offer them an interview. If you don't. But there's no reason to turn what should be an orderly process into a chaotic feeding frenzy. If you were unaware of this practice, or if you've been doing this practice and not thinking about the downstream effects of it, then I urge you to read this article, First Come, First Served Serves No One. It appeared in JGME last year. And it describes the harmful externalities that we impose on medical students when we do this kind of senseless over-invitation. We force students to be glued to their phones, available to respond to an email that might arrive at any moment, just because they know that if they can't respond to that email within a minute or two, someone else is going to snap up that interview spot. I've seen this firsthand. I recently had a medical student who I knew, he was a good student, who asked to do a fourth-year elective with me. And I said, yeah, man, that's fine, but aren't you going into orthopedics? And he said, yeah, but I need to have something where I can respond to emails immediately. And I was like, well, I'm happy to have you rotate with me, but I want you to think about what's going to be best for you educationally. And to be honest, I wish that the program directors who were doing this kind of stuff had asked themselves that. What do they want the people who are going to be applying for their program to be doing? Do you want them to rotate with me in pediatric nephrology? Or do you want them in the OR doing something they're actually going to be doing when they're working for you as a resident? It seems like such a senseless system. Why do we want to select residents based on who has the most immediate access to email and Wi-Fi? It seems so senseless that I actually could not even conceive of why a program would want to do this. And so I started picking at that a little bit on Twitter about a year ago. And I heard from some people who said, well, hey, my program is understaffed and, we don't have a program coordinator who can be, scheduling people's interviews at all these different times. And people overwhelm us with requests about, can you move my interview to this or that or the other thing? So basically we just throw out a bunch of offers and we let the process work it out and it saves our staff some time. And I thought to myself, well, that's a bad reason, but I mean, that's an understandable reason. My suggestion there would be get yourself some interview scheduling software and let people schedule their own interviews and work it out that way. There's no reason that you have to be on the phone doing that stuff in the year 2020. But I actually heard an even more insidious reason for why programs were doing this. And it came from a program director who told me about something called the Ikea Principle. And he explained to me that, IKEA furniture, I mean, it's okay furniture, but a lot of people love IKEA furniture. And they love it maybe not so much because of the quality of the furniture itself, but because they felt like they put something into it to get it because they had to build it. And he said that he felt like if you over-invite people to interview, then the people who you actually schedule are more likely to follow through with their interviews. And this is also, of course, a horrible reason to engage in this practice. Again, I don't think that it's any feather in your cap to have people interviewing for your program who don't really want to go to your program but are afraid to cancel the interview. I don't think that's really a good idea. And like I said, this imposes harmful externalities on medical education that we really don't want. And if that's not enough for you, then I'm going to ask you to go through one little thought exercise. Suppose the shoe was on the other foot. Suppose that someone treated you this way. Suppose that you got an email saying, "Congratulations, Dr. So-and-so, you've been promoted to full professor." And you respond back a little while later, "Oh, why, thank you. I'm so pleased." And you get an email back, "Oh, well, thanks. We invited 10 people to be full professor and you were not one of the first 5 to respond, so try again next year." Or suppose you got an email saying, "Hey, congratulations, your NIH grant got funded." And you reply, "Oh, well, thank you. This is such great news." "Oh, well, sorry, you didn't respond fast enough." Can you even conceive of faculty members being treated this way? We can't. So why are we treating our students and our applicants and our future colleagues this way? Look, like I said, if you're doing this, just stop. And that's all I have to say about that.